What's going on, STR Nation? One of the biggest things that held me back when I was getting started with my short-term rental journey was my fear of failure, my fear of making mistakes. This is one of the biggest issues that I have with the traditional school system, is that it teaches us that there's always a right and a wrong way, and you have to be perfect to get the perfect grade or whatever, right? And it's interesting because a lot of entrepreneurs, they weren't good students, right? Like they didn't do well in school. They were outside of the box thinkers. And that's great. For me, I was actually a really good student. So growing up, it was always like, you got to get A's, you got to study, you got to get the right answer for this test, and it has to be perfect, right? And that is not how the business world works. And so today I want to talk about an analogy that really helped me understand this and drive this point home, because that whole analysis paralysis thing plagued me for years before I got started in this business, because I was so afraid of making a mistake and of failure. And the truth is that there is no such thing as failure. The only way to fail is if you quit. Because if you set a goal and you're constantly working towards that goal, even if you have setbacks along the journey, that's all they are. They're just setbacks. They're data points. They're learning opportunities for you to not make that mistake again, to course correct and get you back on the path to hitting your goal. If you have a goal and you make a decision that you will hit that goal no matter what, time is your friend. You just have to hang in the ring long enough in order to hit your goal. And I saw this story a few years back that really resonated with me. And it was about this robot that was learning how to play chess, right? And I think Google actually built it, but it was this AI-based robot that was learning how to play chess. And within 4 hours, that thing was able to beat the grand chess master, the best chess player in the world, within 4 hours. And the way that it did it was fascinating. So it would play a game and it would lose, and then it would restart, and then it would play a game and it would lose, and then it would go and restart and play a game and it would lose. And what it was doing is it was creating those data points, right? Yes, it was a quote unquote loss, but to that robot, it was just a data point of that was a mistake. And after it made enough of those mistakes, it could beat anybody in the world. But it didn't sit there and beat itself up like we do as human beings and say, oh, you made this mistake, you're a failure, you need to quit, like you're never going to be able to do this. It was just like, no, this is a data point that now I know that was the wrong move. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm going to try a different way. But as humans, we're conditioned that we're not supposed to make mistakes and that there's a right way to do it. And we shouldn't go out and try new things because it's dangerous, or you might quote unquote fail or whatever. If we look at the way that robot became the best chess player in the world, it's because it kept gathering those data points. It kept making those mistakes and learning from them. And within 4 hours, it was able to beat the best player in the world. Right. And so if you take that mindset into business with you, that you will make mistakes. Okay. There are ways to mitigate those by getting educated, reading books, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, hiring coaches, mentors, getting training programs, all those things to mitigate the big mistakes. But as you go along, it's okay to make those mistakes. It's okay to make those mistakes. Learn from them and keep it moving. We've all had them. I've had mistakes. I've had small ones. I've had big ones. But the key is to not sit there and beat yourself up. It's to just learn from it and move forward. And that's why it is vitally important to surround yourself with people that are going to support, encourage, and challenge you. And when you start beating yourself up, they're like, whoa, pump the brakes, man. Like, you're going for something here that you're passionate about. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You just need to keep going and tune out the noise of anybody that's like, listen, man, you should probably call it quits. Right? You look at anybody that's been successful over time, they've all made mistakes. And some of them, it's taken longer than others, but at the end of the day, they hit their goals because they wouldn't quit. They just wouldn't quit. It's just about persistence, not beating yourself up and staying on the path. You want to add anything to that?
All that is great. I've said on here, I played tennis growing up, and tennis is an interesting game. I mean, kind of like chess, tennis, all you need to do is win 2 more points than the other player. You need to win 2 more points. However, you make a ton of mistakes. You make a ton of unforced errors, what they call it, while you're playing. But you can't beat yourself up. So you got to keep going, keep moving forward. The end goal is to win the match, and then to win the tournament, and then to be number 1 in the world or in college or whatever. My goal is to be number 1 in college and then go pro. And I made a ton of mistakes throughout the way. Ton of mistakes during the match, ton of mistakes during practice. But if you just keep consistent and know that the mistakes are going to happen. But, let's say, for instance, I would learn, all right, the guy has served to my backhand 5 times in a row and I've missed it 5 times in a row. He's probably going to serve to my backhand again. And I'm going to use that knowledge that I've missed it 5 times in a row. And I'm going to overcome that fear of missing it again. And I'm going to hit a winner right off it because I know where it's going. Like, because he's done that 5 times in a row or 2 times in a row or 10 times in a row. It's just knowing these data points and knowing the past. And if you can also, you have your own data points, but then surround yourself with all the other data points that are out there. And it's so easy to do now with the internet, social media, to collect all those data points, learn in a very quick way. You can go way faster than ever. And that's kind of the beauty of what's happened over the last 2 years. We're all so connected now. Because we were disconnected in person, but we're all connected through the internet. So we can take all these data points and just put them into our life, whatever the goal is, and succeed, but then fail,
100%.
but then succeed. So the only failure is stopping, is quitting and just saying, I can't do it. That's the only failure that's out there.
And the best part is those data points, those failures, they don't have to be yours. Right. That's why we're always talking about the books that we're reading and the masterminds that we're a part of, because if I make a mistake, I'm going to share it with Mike and the rest of the mastermind students. And if he makes a mistake, he's going to share it. Right. So we're all constantly learning, and it's like, ooh, yeah, so-and-so made that mistake. We're not going to do that. Right. And when you have that mastermind, that collective intelligence through mastermind programs, through coaches, through books, through podcasts, through all these things, you're learning from somebody else's data points. Right. So that's why when you go at it yourself, you can absolutely do that, but it's like you're shortchanging yourself because somebody else has already done it. Somebody else has already made those mistakes that you can avoid just by picking up a book or joining a group or listening to a podcast or watching this video, whatever it is, to avoid those mistakes so that you're not making so many course corrections, and it's a lot smoother for you towards your journey.
Yeah, so for sure. And you had a great point there too. We're making mistakes and we're learning all these things too. But my life purpose, and I know this wholly, is my life purpose is to positively impact as many lives as possible before I die. That's what I want to be known for. I haven't always had this life purpose, but I know for sure that's why I was put on this earth. So if I can spread the information that I know that I've learned from books, from different people, and give that to other people, it could potentially impact their lives positively too. And then it's just a rolling combo effect of just helping other people. That's what lights me up and makes me, emotional, because that's what I want to do. And if you can learn, but if you're not learning and you're kind of, have the fear and you're negative, then you're doing a disservice. If I do that, I'm doing a disservice to the people that I should be helping. So just a different way to think about it too.
Love it. So if you're just getting started on your short-term rental journey, or maybe you've been in the game for a little bit, but you want to cut down that learning curve and go faster, we put together a bunch of free resources for you called the Short-Term Rental Secrets Starter Pack. It's totally free. It's got our deal analyzer. It's got some training on how to analyze markets. We've got some checklists, all sorts of good stuff for you guys, completely free. Just text the word resources to 978-242-0001. And we'll get you guys set up with that. You'll have your own little login with a nice portal where everything's laid out for you. But again, it's leveraging other people's experience, other people's data points to make that process smoother for you. But when you do make those mistakes, don't sit there and beat yourself up. Realize it's part of the journey. It's part of becoming a better version of yourself, and just stay on the path to hitting your goals and you will hit them. All right. That's it for this week, everybody. Hope you're having an amazing week, and we'll see you guys soon.